Joyce on the program right now. Evan Knapp, a New Jersey firearms attorney, is with us. Evan.
Hey.
How you doing, sir?
Great. How you doing?
I'm good. I live in Virginia and not New Jersey. Sorry, Dad. Not that you're my father, but my father who lives in North Jersey. He's well aware of the fact that, New Jersey was a fun place to live when I was 8. Now that I'm a grown-up and I'd like to exercise my Second Amendment rights, New Jersey is kind of a scary place, Evan. Scary to me, anyway, who's only lived in Oklahoma and the Commonwealth of Virginia as a grown-up.
Oh, it is scary, all right. When it comes to their view on firearm freedom, it's just a really bad place to be.
Yeah, and the latest, a 3-judge panel upholding a lower court's finding that a former assistant prosecutor in Union, Passaic, and Morris counties, before he became a deputy attorney general, does not qualify for a gun permit, a concealed carry permit, as a retired law enforcement officer.
Right. Well, that's because all prosecutors do is spread love and peace. You know,
they don't have any connection with enforcing the law
for years at a time, and they don't make enemies for those that might cause them harm. Why should they have a carry license? Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, it is so absurd, and it just shows you what really is funny is in this decision, the court cites a case saying that you should not interpret a statute to get an absurd result. It's like part of the case law, and then of course they arrive at an absurd result. I mean, anyone looking at his face saying this is absurd. That prosecutor is not able to do this with. And they find they're not law enforcement. And if anyone ever takes a moment and actually reads New Jersey's case law, it'll absolutely just infuriate you reading this. I mean, reading it with an idea that we all believe in terms of our rights.
Uh-huh.
And here's, for example, our interpretation is consistent with the restrictive nature of the state's gun control policy. Okay. Exemptions from gun statutes should be strictly construed to better effectuate the policy of gun control. Now, the case law itself is developed to being an extension of gun control. That is the actual case law.
Wow.
And that's how the judges operate in New Jersey.
Wow.
To extend gun control by way of the case law decisions.
Yeah.
And so finally what you see is exactly a case like this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, part of me goes, well, these prosecutors have spent a lot of time pushing the anti-gun agenda. I mean, they do that. Many of them are on that, on the other side of the...
Brian Aiken could not have received a 7-year prison sentence, Evan, unless a prosecutor decided that that was what he deserved.
I mean, I just don't recall the last time a prosecutor in any way stood up for gun rights in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
I missed that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so, in a way, there's ironic, it comes around and bites them. And here you go.
Schadenfreude, I believe, is the word you're looking for.
But but even though that may give me a giggle, it still is ridiculous. I mean, these guys have a job to do.
Yeah.
And they're trying to do a difficult job dealing with people that are very dangerous, and we know that. And this just highlights how absurd it is.
Yes, it does, and it highlights it very well. I mean, one of the judges, I guess, said, and the former prosecutor was applying under H.R. 218, the Law Enforcement Officer Safety Act of 2004, the federal piece of legislation. But it's up to the states to figure out how they're going to implement that law. And I guess New Jersey has figured out that unless you are a retired cop, you don't get a permit. They said that if he had actually faced a specific death threat, that he could have applied, or he would have been able to apply for a gun permit through a different method. The lawyer said New Jersey strict gun laws require him to show an urgent need for self-protection. Now, is that true, Evan? There are some counties, I thought, where it was not actually impossible to get a concealed carry license.
Well, no. The evolution of New Jersey on carry license is, and here's really where the key problem is. It zeroes in New Jersey's carry statute on the term justifiable need. What happens if you read the statute, most of us imagine that the law will be interpreted reasonably and there'll be a reasonable application. And you say, you need to have a justifiable need to carry.
Right.
So you would immediately think, well, wouldn't a prosecutor have a justifiable need? Wouldn't someone who's carrying a lot of valuables have a justifiable need? Or a doctor going into bad areas where with drugs to help the disadvantaged, wouldn't he have a but no, the court has continuously shot it down because they take the term justifiable need, and through only in a contorted logic that a judge could come up with, they take the term justifiable need and say, oh, look, there's the word justifiable. Well, that's because justifiable comes from justification, and justification is the legal word for self-defense. Justification for the use of force. Oh, okay, so since justifiable need must mean justification for the use of force, what is the standard for deadly force? Oh, I see, serious bodily harm or death. So therefore, justifiable need becomes you having to put self-defense as a proof before you need it. So you can't say, I'm going into a bad area and I might have a problem. No, you have to first have the problem and show that you were subjected as an individual to a threat of serious bodily harm or death, so that you can meet the standard of justifiable need as how the court has interpreted it. How do you? That's putting. You have to prove that you can put the cart before the horse so that you can get your license, and it creates this incredibly difficult, if not impossible, standard to have to reach. And that's the twist. It went from justifiable need to this application of what is justification, thereby self-defense, and they say, yeah, it's urgent necessity based on that two-part test. You have to show that you personally, you can't be a generalization, are subject to threats of serious bodily harm or death, and then you have to show that carrying a handgun could avert that threat, and that it will avert that threat.
Wow.
So this is the standard is so high. This is why it's basically up to the judge who hears that case, if they're going to deviate from the policy of gun control, and you catch a break and get it, and it's just very, very rare.
Yeah. Now
there are individuals that have it from that are actual retired law enforcement. There are some individuals in security that perform, armed security guard, because they created a little bit of a leeway in that regard, a smidge of it, so you can get that. But that's what makes it so. Essentially, if New Jersey just repealed the term justifiable need, the license would then be a shall issue.
Well, there you go.
But that's what it takes. You got to get rid of two words: justifiable need. Get rid of them, and then all this entire house of cards will collapse.
All right.
On defeating individuals' rights to defend themselves.
Well, Evan, I know we've got the legal challenges in New Jersey right now. So
there's a number of them.
Hopefully, one day that phrase will go away.
Well, even I'll tell you what, Cam. I know NRA is doing a great job focusing on getting a national reciprocity.
Mm-hmm.
That'll have tremendous impact in New Jersey once that happens.
I hope so.
Yeah. Because New Jersey maintains this fraud of a licensing system, which, of course, would bring it under national reciprocity for everybody else to be able to use their license, and that'll wake the entire state up at that point. And that'll probably ultimately force the change, because they're not going to just ban the carrying of firearms, because there's too many politicians and such that have it and want it. So, it's a lot of corruption involved in that.
Yeah.
So they're not going to get rid of it because then they wouldn't be able to help their cronies.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Uh-huh.
All right. Well, listen, Evan, I'm glad you can be with us on the program tonight, sir, and we'll be talking again before too long.
My pleasure. Take care, Cam.
You too.
Bye
Evan
now.
Knapp in New Jersey and New Hampshire, firearms attorney, general counsel of Pro Gun New Hampshire.